Alright, what's up everyone, I'm Faloki, and today we're going to be taking a look at a preview of the Week 3 matchup between the 2-0 Seattle Seahawks and the 1-1 Dallas Cowboys. Before we get into the video though, I just wanted to thank everyone for over 3,000 subscribers. It's yet another milestone that I didn't think I'd ever hit, but I am just super thankful to everyone who watches the video, everyone who's clicked subscribe, everyone who's liked the video. Just thank you to everyone who supports the channel, it really means a lot. And on that note, if you aren't subscribed, make sure you subscribe if you enjoy the content, and leave a like if you do enjoy the video. Last week in Week 2 against the Atlanta Falcons, of course, as everyone knows, the Dallas Cowboys had a miraculous comeback in the second half to end up winning that game 40-39. Coming back from a huge deficit and scoring 30 points in the second half, it was definitely a great game for the Cowboys in that second half. But really, I don't think that that's something that's going to happen against the Seahawks. Of course, Dak Prescott threw for 450 yards that game, and the Seahawks passing defense hasn't looked that great so far this season, but I don't think that the Seahawks will so easily give up a lead like the Falcons did. Of course, the Falcons are a team that are just very prone to giving up big leads. Of course, the Super Bowl against the Patriots, and then this game against the Cowboys. While the Cowboys offense did play great in that game to make the comeback, the Cowboys defense didn't do too well. Of course, Matt Ryan had 4 touchdowns in that game, and Russell Wilson, coming off of a 5-touchdown game against one of the best secondaries in the league against the Patriots, is definitely going to be a hard task for the Cowboys to stop. Last week against the New England Patriots, Russell Wilson completed 21 of his 28 attempts for almost 300 yards, 5 touchdowns, and an interception. These 5 touchdowns came against the Patriots defense, who only allowed 13 total passing touchdowns in the entirety of the 2019 season, so it's definitely a remarkable task for Russell Wilson to be able to do something like that. He was playing out of his mind, the receivers are playing very well, and that led to the all-around dominant Seahawks offensive performance that we saw last week. However, like the Cowboys, the defense did not play too well. In that Week 2 game against the Patriots, the Seahawks defense allowed Cam Newton to throw for almost 400 yards, albeit on 44 attempts, but their run defense definitely did do well, allowing the Patriots only 2.7 yards per carry. The run defense wasn't perfect though, as we allowed Cam Newton to score 2 touchdowns on quarterback draws on the 1-yard line. He did also have his passing touchdown on this quarterback draw formation. He did run the ball well himself, and going against Dak Prescott this week, another big mobile quarterback, it'll be interesting to see if the Seahawks defense will be able to hold up and stop the quarterback from running. Now, of course, you can't talk about the Seahawks defense without talking about the struggles that they've had stopping the passing game. Through the first 2 weeks, the Seahawks defense has allowed over 800 passing yards, which is the worst in the NFL. They have done very well in the run game, allowing a little under 140 yards, so they are the second best when it comes to that. And of course, with what seems like a continuation from the 2019 season, the Seahawks defense still struggles with getting sacks and getting pressure on the quarterback. Just the pass rush has not looked great. 2 of our sacks have come from Jamal Adams, and 1 of the sacks came from Benson Mayowa, who is questionable this game. And when it comes to injuries for this game, there are definitely some key players out on both sides and some pretty key players questionable for both sides. Starting with the Cowboys, Leighton Vander Esch is still out. He will not be playing against the Seahawks. Of course, he's a great player. He's a great linebacker, so this will definitely make it a little bit easier for our offense as a whole to play with him out. And another key player for the Cowboys who might not play this game is DeMarcus Lawrence, who is questionable for this game. He has not participated in practice from what I've seen. He's definitely a great pass rusher, and although the Cowboys' sack numbers have not been very good this year, with the weak offensive line that the Seahawks have, DeMarcus Lawrence would have a field day most likely against that offensive line. So if he doesn't play, that'll definitely be good, but of course I would like to see him play because, you know, you want to see competition on both sides, but there is a chance that he might not play as he is questionable for this game. And moving on to the Seahawks, of course, Marquise Blair and Bruce Irvin are out with some pretty serious knee injuries. They are out for the season, and Jordan Brooks will be taking Bruce Irvin's place. He will be starting this game, so that'll definitely be interesting to see what our first-round pick will be able to do. Of course, Darrell Taylor is still injured. He was hurt in the training camp, I believe, and he will not be playing for the first 6 weeks of this season, so he is still out. And Quinton Dunbar is also questionable with a knee injury, so definitely some pretty big injuries going on right now. It'll definitely be nice to see what Jordan Brooks can do. He seems like he's very talented. He's got a lot of high praise. We picked him in the first round. Patrick Queen, who was taken by the Ravens, which some people said that we should have taken him over Jordan Brooks, has done pretty well so far, so it'll definitely be interesting to see what Jordan Brooks will be able to do. As I mentioned earlier on in this video, this will definitely be a statement game for both teams, where both teams are going to be trying to prove themselves. There are some key matchups to watch out for as well. Of course, with the Seahawks being the second best run defense when it comes to yards allowed, going against Ezekiel Elliott will be a tough task, but it'll definitely be interesting to see if the Seahawks defense can continue to prove themselves when it comes to the run game. Bruce Irvin going down is definitely not something that you want to see, because he did seem to be very important in stopping the run. But it'll definitely be a great game to see how Ezekiel Elliott will do against the run defense of the Seattle Seahawks, and how the Seahawks will do against Ezekiel Elliott. Also, as I mentioned before, the Seahawks pass defense is the worst in the league when it comes to passing yards allowed, and the Dallas Cowboys definitely have some pretty strong pieces when it comes to the passing game. Dak Prescott, although I'm not the biggest fan, is definitely a very good quarterback, if not a great quarterback, and with pieces like Michael Gallup, Ceedee Lamb, Amari Cooper, and some very strong tight end play from Dalton Schultz last week, it's definitely going to be a very tough task for the Seahawks secondary to be able to do well against this offense. The Seahawks secondary on paper is definitely a very strong group, with Shaquille Griffin, Quentin Dunbar, Trey Flowers, Ugo Amadi, Jamal Adams, and Quandre Diggs. They definitely should be playing a lot better than they're playing currently, but of course, this is definitely going to be a statement game for them. They have to do well against this offense that seemed to do very well last week. Over 450 yards last week, although they were coming down from a deficit, so of course they are going to be throwing a little bit more. We have to show that we can stop a team from getting well over 300 yards per game. We are allowing, I believe, 400 yards a game, right around. I think we allowed 450 first game, 388 in the second game, so a little over 400 yards per game. So we really do need to pick it up. This secondary seems like it would have been the strength of the team when you just look at it on paper, but they seem to be doing as bad as they possibly could be. Jamal Adams has acknowledged this. He got beat by Julian Edelman a few times last week, and he has acknowledged this. He has said that he needs to get better in coverage, and he is going to get better in coverage. And of course, I mean, we just have to see how the Seahawks continue to play. This could just be a slow start for this secondary, but it is definitely not looking great that we are the worst secondary in the league when it comes to passing yards allowed, with such a strong group on paper. Another one of the main things going into this game is if Russell Wilson will be able to continue his dominance in the passing game. He had 4 touchdowns in the first game, 5 touchdowns in the second game. He has 11 total incompletions with 9 total touchdowns. He is playing out of his mind. He is doing insanely well, and going against the Cowboys defense that is much weaker than the Patriots defense, at least when it comes to the secondary. It's definitely going to be interesting to see what we can do there. Will he be able to continue this 4 to 5 touchdown range of just throwing the ball, doing whatever he wants to do, being an amazing quarterback, as everyone knows that he is? Or will he kind of slow it down? Will the run game get a lot more involved? We'll have to see what goes on, but I definitely would like to see Russell Wilson continue to throw the ball, continue to do very well. And I mean, the Patriots defense when it comes to the secondary was amazing. They are a great secondary team. DK Metcalf did very well against Stephon Gilmore, and of course David Moore had that crazy catch against Devin McCourty. Devin McCourty did have a pick 6, but that was on Greg Olsen. But I mean, the Cowboys defense when it comes to the secondary does not compare whatsoever to the Patriots secondary. So I think Russell Wilson could possibly have a great game, and unlike the Falcons, if Russell Wilson is throwing 4 to 5 touchdowns, I don't think we're choking a lead. This comes from the fact that I have a lot more faith in the Seahawks run game than I do in the Falcons run game. The Falcons are definitely a pass heavy team, and they do well in the passing game. That is no question. They are definitely a strong passing team. They do very good, but when it comes to the run game, when it comes to actually, draining the clock, getting first downs in the run game, they really don't do too well. They had 34 carries for 113 yards, which of course is nothing horrible, but last week the Seahawks had 30 carries for over 150, so they definitely did a lot better. Russell Wilson can run, Chris Carson can run, we have Carlos Hyde who's definitely very good. I mean, we are just definitely a very strong run team. We have a very good passing game as well. We are a strong all-around offense except for the offensive line. Of course, if the Seahawks get up, I don't think they're going to choke a lead, but last week against the Patriots, something I failed to mention in the recap was the fact that Chris Carson, before the 2-minute warning, he definitely had the possibility to get a first down, but he probably would have went out of bounds, so he slid down 4 yards short of the first down to try to waste clock, go into the 2-minute warning. And the Seahawks didn't end up getting a second or third down conversion when it came to that drive, and they gave the ball back to the Patriots, where the Patriots could have possibly won the game on the last play of the game. So of course, I would like the Seahawks to not make that mistake. Chris Carson, I think he probably could have got 2 or 3 more yards without going out of bounds, so him sliding, I think it was a bit early. That could have possibly cost us the game. I don't think that that's going to happen in this game. I don't think that there's going to be a huge chance that we end up choking a lead. If we get 4 touchdowns in this game for Russell Wilson, maybe even 5, I don't see a way we lose this. The Cowboys offense is definitely good, but I definitely have high hopes for our defense to be able to stop them. I don't think that they're going to let up what they did with the Patriots. The Patriots game should not have been as close as it was. Our defense kind of, didn't play too well. Our offense had some stagnant drives, and the Patriots, they definitely made us pay for that because they are a very well-coached team. They know how to take advantage of opportunities that are given to them. So I don't think the Cowboys are going to be as tough of a matchup as the Patriots were, but they're definitely not a team that we can just breeze straight by either. Now, when it came to my original predictions, I said that we would end up losing to the Cowboys in a game where we just played completely off, because that seems to almost always happen. There's definitely a chance that it happens, but with Russell Wilson playing so well and playing as well as he has, most of the time our fluke games comes from us trying to continue to just push the run when it's not working, not giving Russell Wilson the opportunities to throw the ball. But with Russell Wilson doing as well as he is now, and the run game really striving last week because the Patriots were so scared of the pass game, I definitely think that this isn't going to be a fluke game. There's definitely a chance that it can, but right now it looks more likely that the Seahawks are going to continue to do very well on offense. Their defense might struggle, but the Seahawks, I think they'll be fine trying to outscore the Cowboys. And with that, although there is definitely the chance that we can have a bad game when it comes to the offensive side of the football and the Cowboys absolutely just walk through us, I don't think that's going to happen. I am going to be changing my prediction from my original prediction where I said we could lose this game in a pretty wild fashion because it would be a poor game for the offense, a kind of fluke game that we have every single year. I definitely think that this game, with all the momentum that we are carrying into the game with Russell Wilson being so good, the Cowboys are carrying a lot of momentum from a strong comeback, but I think they might be a bit overconfident to start, come out throwing the ball a little heavy. I don't know how that exactly might go, but I do think the Seahawks, they have a lot of momentum, and I think the Seahawks momentum will outweigh the Cowboys momentum. I think this is going to be a very high scoring win for the Seahawks. I don't think this is going to be a very strong defensive matchup for either team. I think both teams will probably do well in the run defense, but the pass game I think is going to be going wild for both teams. I'm going to say around 37-33, maybe 37-30, a high scoring win for the Seahawks. I definitely think that this is going to be yet another case of the Seahawks, Russell Wilson trying to outscore the other team while our secondary continues to underperform. Of course, ideally this would go different, where the secondary plays well, the run defense plays well, the offense does very well, but you can't really just bank on everything going right for the Seahawks. It definitely can. I think we can definitely do very well. If everything does go right, everything can go wrong and we can do very poorly. But right now, I'm thinking that our defense, if it continues to struggle, if our run defense does fine, I think Russell Wilson, I have high faith in him being able to outscore the Cowboys offense, outduel Dak Prescott. If I am wrong, that is definitely going to be something that is unfortunate, because Cowboys fans are going to go crazy if they beat the Seahawks. But overall, like I said, I think this is going to be a 37-30 win. That is my prediction. Another high-scoring game for the Seahawks in a win. I definitely think this is not going to be a defensive showing, but let me know down below in the comments what you think. I said what I said. I think this is going to be a high-scoring win for the Seahawks. What do you think? Do we think we win? Do you think we lose against the Cowboys? Cowboys fans, if you're watching this, let me know down below in the comments what you think. Like the video if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and with that, I'd like to thank you for watching. Have a great day.